weekend ends and you get back into the swing of things. Tracking what's happening in my mind as we continue on in this process. My self-awareness allows me to admit that I am extremely one-track minded at this point in the game. I find it difficult to think about anything else other than getting this done, probably because my energy really feels reserved to my workouts, and it's like my world kind of revolves around when I'm eating next, what I'm eating next, how much I'm eating, what my macros are. Speaking of which, let's do that right now. 1708 was my amount of calories for the day. I ended up doing 40 burpees. Again, 5 burpees per calorie over 1700. I'm honestly at the point now where I actually like airing closer to if I'm getting 1708, I still haven't gotten 1709 yet, and have had to do 45 burpees, but I'm there. It's like every calorie counts. I'm looking for any little thing that I can squeeze out to get more nutrition into my day, because I'm dragging. I'm definitely dragging at this point in the game, and we got weeks to go. Adjustments. I had 151 grams of protein today and 157 grams of carbs. One thing I had stated, I think yesterday, but at some point, was that I think I'm going to start focusing more on increasing my carbohydrates at the sacrifice of hitting 180, 190 grams of protein per day, just because I personally feel like I have more energy when I'm in the ballpark of 150 grams of carbs as opposed to 100 grams of carbs and 190 grams of protein. I'm sure it'll all work out. And the more protein you eat, the better chance you have of not losing muscle while on a caloric deficit, but there's no guarantee either way. The ideal scenario in a laboratory setting is to have a high amount of protein. Again, I think it's 2.6 grams per kilogram of lean body mass, but that is just so specific. And how do you even calculate your lean body mass kilograms? So again, the simpler equation is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which comes out to around the same number. But anyway, ideal scenario, you're in a laboratory and you're just being tested and everything is just perfect settings. You got the 1 gram of protein per body weight or per pound, and you're working out really hard, and you're doing these things to recruit muscle fibers and stimulate muscle growth, even though that you are in a deficit. However, because you are eating enough protein and you are working out hard, your muscles are getting activated. They're being stimulated in a way so that you're not losing as much muscle, so that when you are losing weight, the type of weight that you're losing is coming from fat. So that's why we do these things. The less working out that you do, the less weight training, the less high intensity muscle stimulation that occurs, the less protein that you eat, the greater chance of the weight that you lose being lean body mass as opposed to fat. If that makes sense. I understand all this, and I keep it in mind as I go through my day, as I focus on the types of things that I am eating, and I am finding the negotiation with the knowledge that I have in relation to my goals and the knowledge that I have that actually helps me operate better throughout the day and function normally as a human being. It's really interesting to see at this point in the game, as I continue to drop weight and I continue to lower my body fat, just how quickly food fuels me. I notice that, like, in the early mornings and in the late evenings, how low energy I am prior to and after my first and my last meal. And then there's dips in energy in the middle of the day when I haven't eaten something for a couple of hours. So that's why I'm more concerned with sprinkling carbohydrates into my meals throughout the day. And honestly, I could probably find some kind of common ground where I can also get protein into my diet. And it kind of mirrors that of that stereotypical bodybuilder eating routine of 6 small meals throughout the day, which is funny. It's so, I mean, to me it's hilarious, because when I think about the little bit of knowledge I first had 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago, and I first started working out, and it felt like the only info, the only facts that were out there in like bodybuilder magazines that I wasn't even reading, I was just getting passed down to me secondhand from other people who were going to the gym, is that like, oh, you gotta do 6 small meals you gotta do 6 small meals throughout the day, and you gotta get protein in every single meal, and you gotta stay in an anabolic state and keep your metabolism high and all this shit. And you know, it all feels like it's coming full circle, where like the the information that I was exposed to at that young age, it's like now I'm actually starting to understand the logic behind it. Whereas when I consider my methodology for the past couple of years, yeah, there have been tweaks and things that I have theorized with evidence to support the type of results that I was pursuing, such as fasting, such as eating 1 meal a day or eating 1 meal every other day, and fasting for 2 days at a time and shit like that, and all these other different things that I was experimenting with. But honestly, as I get more aligned with the actual process, it makes more sense to eat smaller meals throughout the day so that you can maintain a consistent amount of fuel, as opposed to like me, where I currently am in my body composition. I would not be able to sustain a optimal level of functionality by sticking to 1 meal a day. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would just be weak. I'd be tired. I'd be dragging my feet. I'm still doing that, which to me it indicates that I have to start eating more frequently as opposed to less frequently. I typically break my fast at around 10, 11 o'clock. And I think for me, it's kind of like I'm unlearning, because I've been doing intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting for so long that it's been sort of an adjustment to get into the habit of eating earlier in the day again. But by the time that this is over, and by the time I hit 5%, I can see myself breaking my fast 9:30 a.m. and having my last meal at 8 o'clock. And that's like, essentially it's an 11 hour and 30-minute day of eating. It's a eating window that's bigger than I'm used to, is what I'm trying to say. And it's more aligned with the typical bodybuilder workout. What adjustments I'll make when I'm in a surplus, who knows, who cares? That's approximately 4 to 5 to 6 weeks away. But again, I am so singular focused on this specific goal right now, and I'm only asking myself questions on how to get through this as smooth as possible, as efficiently as possible, and actually make sure I reach the finish line. I ask myself, what's suffering as a result of this level of focus on this task? My job, my business that hasn't even spread its wings yet. But nothing's going anywhere. I feel like I'm just barely getting by. It's okay. It's all going to work out. I feel very positive, feel very optimistic. And the end is in sight. Even though it's weeks away, the end is in sight. I keep forgetting to talk about workouts. That's because I'm in a deficit, and working out in a deficit is not the same as working out in a surplus for the purpose of building muscle. I will probably, undoubtedly, spend a whole lot more time talking about what you can do in the gym to build muscle mass when I'm in a surplus. But again, like, my focus is on fat loss. So what tips for fat loss can I provide? High activity, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I think that's the actual acronym, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's NEAT. But yeah, like, tips for fat loss: staying active, low intensity cardio, moving around a lot, moving your body, walking, getting 10,000 steps, 15,000, 20,000 steps a day if you can, maintaining a caloric deficit, drinking water, going to sleep, getting a good night's sleep, 8 hours preferably, things of that. These are the type of tips. These are the type of tips and tricks that I'm focused on when it comes to getting my specific goals accomplished. Working out, man. Working out so you can retain your muscles and not lose as much lean body mass as you potentially could on a deficit. But I'm going in a circle, and again, I understand why. No big deal. Ain't until let's do it. Yeah, I think I'm done. A little bit of an update. All right.